This module of Inventor includes instruction on use of the Design Accelerator. The Design Accelerator is an area in Inventor that contains pre-designed parts where the user can enter their own parameters. To start, we'll move our cursor to the upper left portion of the screen. We'll left click on New. The Create New File dialog box will appear. We'll left click on Standard Inventor Part, and we'll left click on Create. Once Inventor finishes loading, we'll move our cursor to the upper left portion of the screen and we'll left click on Start 2D Sketch. We'll left click on the XY plane, front plane. And then we're going to start by just creating this simple sketch. It will look similar to the piston case from chapter 6, but it will be quite a bit smaller. So we'll start out with just a sketch that looks similar to what is shown here. Then we'll dimension that sketch. We'll enter 1, another 1. And this overall dimension up top will be 3.25. And this side dimension will be 0.25. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish 2D sketch. We'll wheel it out. Scroll it down, we'll left click on extrude, and we'll go with the 1-inch extrusion. Then we'll move our cursor up to the fillet command, we'll left click on fillet, and we'll left click on each one of these lower edges, similar to the piston case. We'll enter 0.5, and we'll left click on OK. Then we'll use the free orbit command, we'll left click, and just kind of rotate the part up, just like we did the piston case. Then we'll right click, left click on OK. I'm going to push the mouse wheel down, just pan it down, and then we'll rotate it just a hair more. Then we'll put our cursor on this inside face. When it becomes highlighted, we'll right click once, we'll left click on New Sketch, and then I'm going to right click again and left click on Previous View. Then we'll left click on Circle, and we'll move our cursor to the very edge of the fillet. When that fillet radius comes up, the center, we'll sneak our cursor over there to that dot, left click one time, we'll drag that out. Then we'll right click, left click on OK. Then we'll left click on Dimension, left click on the circle, drag that dimension out. We'll enter 0.25. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish 2D sketch, and we'll left click on extrude, and we'll left click on OK. Then we'll move our cursor to the underside of the case where we put a cylinder bore for the piston case. We're going to put in the same thing here. It'll just be a bore for a lifter or a cam lobe follower. So once that surface becomes highlighted, we'll right click one time, left click on New Sketch. I'm going to right click again and left click on Previous View. Move our cursor up and left click on Circle. And we'll just place it here. And then we'll dimension it. I'm going to right click OK. I'm going to left click on Dimension. The first thing we'll do is dimension the actual circle diameter, which is supposed to be 0.5. And then left click on the center. And we'll enter 0.375, and then we'll left click on the center again, and it should be ½ an inch from the bottom. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish sketch. Then we'll left click on extrude, and I'm going to push the mouse wheel down and just pan it over, and we'll left click inside the circle. And we'll left click on Cut, and we'll left click on OK. Then we'll use the free orbit command. We'll left click, rotate that around, and we have a nice hole cut in that. Then we'll right click, left click on OK. Then we'll save this. Go up here to the little arrow next to the eye, left click, click on Save As. And then once you identify where you're going to save it, we'll save it as cam case 1. And then we'll keep that open because we're now going to create a lifter or a cam follower. And then the last part, we will use the design accelerator to create a lobe. So I'm going to leave that open, and we'll start with a new drawing. I'm going to left click on the little white piece of paper. The create new file dialog box will appear. We'll left click on standard inventor part. We'll left click on create. And then we'll start with a 2D sketch again. And we'll left click on the XY front plane. Then I'm going to put a circle right on the origin of the grid. So I'm going to left click on the circle command. I'll move my cursor here to the center. Left click one time. We'll drag that out. Left click, right click. Left click on OK. And we will dimension this circle to 1/2 inch. And then we will right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish 2D sketch, left click on extrude, and we'll just go with 1 inch, and we'll left click on OK. Then we'll move our cursor to the free orbit command, rotate the part around to get the back side, and we'll right click, left click on OK. And we're going to put a sketch right on the bottom of this. We're going to create a lifter foot. So once this surface becomes highlighted, I'm going to right click once. We'll left click on new sketch. And Inventor will rotate that part around. We can leave it there for now. I'm going to use the grid center again for the center of the new circle. Drag that out. Left click, right click, OK. I'm going to left click on dimension. Left click on the circle. Drag the dimension out, enter 0.625, and I'm going to right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish 2D sketch, and we'll do left click on extrude, and this time we want to use a distance of 0.125, and then we'll hit enter. And so we now have a lifter, and we'll save that. And that's going to be lifter 1. And we'll left click on save. So both of those parts are open, and now we're going to import them into an assembly. And that will be covered in the next module. So up to this point, you need to have created the camshaft case and the lifter.